My neighbor poisoned my garden, and it was caught on camera. Hi Redditors, this is my first post here, and I'm writing it with so much rage that my fingers are trembling on the keyboard. I'm from a suburb of Chicago, USA, where everyone tries to have a perfect yard like in gardening magazines. My name is Alex, not my real name, as I don't want trouble. I'm 35, I work in IT, and I have a hobby taking care of my garden. It's my pride and joy. Flowers, vegetables, fruit trees, all organic, no chemicals. I spend a ton of time and money on it because after my divorce 2 years ago, it became my way to relax. But now everything has gone to hell because of my neighbor, whom I call Miss Jealousy. She poisoned my garden and I have evidence from security cameras. I'm in shock, furious, and I don't know what to do next. Please give me some advice because I'm ready to go to the police, but I want to hear your thoughts first. Let me start from the beginning because this isn't just a random event, it's the culmination of built-up drama. My neighbor and I, let's call her Linda, again, not her real name, have lived next to each other for 5 years. She's retired, around 60 plus, a widow, lives alone with 2 cats. At first, everything was fine. We'd wave to each other, sometimes chat about the weather or local news. She has her own yard, but it always looks so-so: yellow grass, unkempt bushes, a few wilted flowers. I, on the other hand, turned mine into a paradise. I planted roses, lavender, tomatoes, strawberries, even a small greenhouse for herbs. My neighbors on the other side compliment me, saying my garden inspires the whole block. Linda also used to give compliments like, "Oh, how beautiful your garden is, I could never do that." But about a year ago, everything changed. I noticed she started looking at my garden with a kind of envious look. You know, when someone smiles but their eyes aren't smiling. She started commenting, "You spend so much money on that and I don't have the time." Or, "My cats love your flowers but they trample them, sorry." I thought it was just small talk, but then small, strange things started happening. For example, my gardening tools went missing, a shovel, a rake, and would reappear near her fence. I asked her and she said, "Oh, the wind must have blown them over, I guess." Then my flowers near the fence started wilting for no reason. I checked the soil, watered them, fertilized them, nothing. I thought maybe it was pests or bad weather. But 2 months ago, everything escalated. My garden started dying en masse. First, the leaves on the tomatoes turned yellow, then the roses wilted. The strawberries got covered in spots as if burned. I called a specialist from the garden center. He said it looks like poisoning from herbicides, like Roundup or something similar. Someone could have sprayed chemicals, he said. I was shocked. Who would do that? I don't argue with anyone, I live quietly. I spent $500 on soil analysis. It was confirmed, high levels of glyphosate, a weed killer that kills all living things. Then I remembered that a year ago I installed security cameras around the house after there were some burglaries in the neighborhood. The cameras have night vision and record everything in HD. I sat down and reviewed the footage from the last few weeks, and there it was. On 3 videos, Linda is sneaking up to my fence at night with a bottle in her hands. It was a jug of herbicide. I recognized the label. She was spraying my plants, looking around like a thief. In one video, she even smiled, as if pleased. The time, around 2 a.m. when everyone is asleep. I checked older recordings. This wasn't the first time. She had done it several times over the months. I jealousy because I heard from other neighbors that she complained. "Alex has a perfect garden and mine looks like a dump, it's not fair." One neighbor told me, she said, "He thinks he's better than everyone with his organic vegetables." I guess she was eaten up by envy because no one praises her yard and mine gets praised. She even tried to copy me. She planted similar flowers, but it didn't work out for her, and that made her even angrier. I don't understand. Why not ask for advice? Why ruin someone else's things? Now I'm panicking. My garden isn't just a hobby. It's therapy after my divorce, plus I've spent thousands of dollars on plants, seeds, equipment. Now half of it is dead. I'll have to dig everything up and replace the soil. I went to her, showed her the video, not all of it, but screenshots, and said, "I know what you did." Why? At first she denied it, then she cried and said, "I didn't mean to, I was just jealous, I'm sorry." But I don't believe her, this is a crime. In the US, poisoning someone else's property is vandalism, and there could be a fine or even a court case. What should I do? Go to the police, file a lawsuit for damages, put up a taller fence, or just ignore it and restore the garden? I'm afraid of escalation because she lives next door. TLDR, neighbor poisoned my garden out of jealousy. Cameras caught her. Now I'm desperate and seeking advice. Update 1. Hello again, Redditors. It's been a week since my original post, and I'm just shocked by the amount of support I've received. Over 500 comments, a bunch of private messages with advice, and even several people sharing similar stories about envious neighbors. Thank you to everyone who wrote. Go to the police immediately, sue for damages, or install more cameras and a fence with barbed wire. Your words gave me the strength not to sit idly by. I was in such an emotional state, a mix of anger, anxiety, and relief that I'm not going crazy, that I decided to act step by step, as many advised. Let me tell you in detail what happened this week, because it's turned into a real drama, like from a series about neighborhood wars. First, I decided not to go to Linda directly again, after that scene with her tears and "I'm sorry." I was afraid she might make something up or escalate. Instead, I gathered all the evidence. Video from the cameras, 3 clips, 2-3 minutes each, where her face, the herbicide jug, and her spraying are clearly visible. Screenshots with dates and times. The results of the soil analysis from the lab, with glyphosate levels 10 times higher than the norm for weeds. Receipts for plants and equipment. Total damages about $2,500, including new seedlings I bought last season. And even notes from the garden center specialist who confirmed it was intentional poisoning. I also spoke with 2 other neighbors, one on the left and one across the street, and they confirmed they heard Linda complaining about my garden. One of them even recorded an audio on his phone where she says, "This Alex thinks his garden is the best in the block, and my cats just keep pooping there." This gave me confidence that it wasn't paranoia. The day after the post, I went to the local police department in Chicago. We're in the Lincoln Park area, where such things rarely happen, but the cops are used to neighborhood disputes. I made an appointment with an officer, a woman named Sarah, who specializes in property crimes. I showed her everything, the video on a flash drive, documents, photos of the dead plants. I made a series of before and after shots from blooming roses to yellow skeletons. She watched carefully, nodded, and said, "This is classic vandalism, possibly even with an element of criminal damage to property." In Illinois, she said, if damages exceed $500, it could be a criminal case, a fine of up to $2,500, community service, or even a short arrest for repeat offenders. She filed an official police report, documented everything, and said they would call Linda in for a talk. I signed the statement but didn't ask for immediate arrest. I just want her to admit guilt and pay. The officer advised me to contact a lawyer for a civil lawsuit because the police might not recover the money, but a court could. When I got home, I felt like I'd run a marathon, exhausted but motivated. I installed 2 more cameras, bought on Amazon for $150 with motion sensors and a siren, and raised the fence on her side by 2 feet with a mesh to keep her cats from climbing over. I also started restoring the garden. I dug out the poisoned soil. It cost $300 for excavator services and new soil. Planted new tomatoes and lavender in pots to avoid risk. But emotionally, it's hard. Every time I look at the bare ground, I remember how much work went to waste. In the evening, I got a call from Linda. I guess the police had already spoken to her. She was hysterical. "Alex, why are you doing this?" I apologized. "It was a mistake. I just wanted my garden to look better." I calmly said, "The evidence speaks for itself, Linda. If you want to make it right, pay for the damages." She hung up and since then has been silent, but I noticed her cats no longer roam my yard. Commenters, you were right. Many wrote about similar stories where neighbors ruined lawns or gardens out of jealousy. And the best thing is to document everything and go the legal route. One user shared a link to the subreddit r/legaladvice, where a similar story ended with $1,000 in compensation. I've already contacted a lawyer. A free consultation is tomorrow. If there's more drama, I'll write an update. TLDR, went to the police, filed a report. Linda is panicking. Garden is being restored, but damages are high. Thank you for the support. Update 2. Hello everyone following my Miss Jealousy saga. Another week has passed, 2 weeks total since the original post, and things have picked up speed. It's no longer just a neighborhood trifle, but a full-fledged legal battle with elements of psychological drama. Your comments on the first update were golden. Some advised hiring a lawyer, some to put up a private property sign with a camera warning, and some even suggested retaliating in kind. But I don't want to stoop to her level, as it would only make things worse. I was in a state of constant anxiety, not sleeping at night, thinking she might retaliate in some other way, but your stories about similar cases, for example, one Redditor told how a neighbor poisoned a lawn out of envy for a new car, helped me stay strong. Let's break down what happened in detail, because it's turned into a lesson in neighborly relations that I will never forget. First, about the lawyer. I went for a consultation with a firm that specializes in property disputes, found through recommendations on Reddit. The lawyer, a man named Mike, around 50, with experience in similar cases, reviewed my evidence and said, "This is a solid case for small claims court, damages are clear, video is undeniable, plus witness statements from neighbors." He calculated the total losses, $2,500 for plants and materials, plus $800 for soil analysis, excavation and new soil, and another $500 for my time as an IT freelancer. I could have earned that money instead of restoring. Total about $3,800. We filed a lawsuit in a Chicago court, small claims, since the amount is under $10K, and Linda was served a summons. The lawyer advised me not to communicate with her directly, to avoid giving her grounds for a counterclaim like harassment. Meanwhile, the police had an official conversation with Linda. Officer Sarah called me and shared the details without violating confidentiality. Linda first denied everything, saying, "It wasn't me, maybe someone else, or my cats could have brought the chemicals." But when they showed her screenshots from the video, she broke down and admitted, "Yes, I did it out of envy. His garden always looked perfect, and mine didn't, and the neighbors only talked about his." She even confessed that she bought the herbicide at Home Depot. We checked. There's a receipt from her credit card, as I asked the police to dig deeper. The police didn't arrest her, as it's a nonviolent crime, but issued a warning and a $500 fine for vandalism. She cried and asked not to take it further, but I'm not backing down, it's the principle. Emotionally, it's draining. I started seeing a therapist online through BetterHelp, because after the divorce, the garden was my anchor, and now it's a wound. But there's also a positive side. My garden is slowly coming back to life. New roses have sprouted shoots, strawberries are producing their first berries, and I added solar lights for night security. Neighbors in the block are supportive. One brought seedlings as a gift, another offered to help with watering. Linda is now avoiding me. Her yard looks even worse. The cats stay inside, and I heard from a neighbor that she's looking for a realtor to sell her house. Maybe she'll move. If so, that would be a victory. The court date is set for next month. The lawyer says the chances are high because the evidence is ironclad. If she pays voluntarily, I'll drop the lawsuit. Many commenters wrote about escalation, so I'm prepared. I added motion sensors with a siren and am even thinking about a guard dog, but not yet. Thank you for all the advice, you really helped. TLDR filed a lawsuit. Linda admitted guilt to the police. She got a fine. Garden is recovering, waiting for compensation. If there's an update 3, I'll write it. Update 3. Greetings, Redditors. This is probably the final update in my story about Miss Jealousy and the poisoned garden. Another month has passed since the previous update, 3 months total since the original post, and the matter has finally reached a logical conclusion. I can't express how grateful I am for your support. Over 1,200 comments in total, stories from people all over the world about similar neighborly horrors, from poisoned lawns in California to vandalism in gardens in the UK, and a ton of practical advice like don't back down, demand full compensation, or change the locks and add an alarm, because envious people don't stop. Your words helped me stay in good spirits. I was in a state of constant stress, with sleepless nights imagining worst-case scenarios like revenge or years of legal wrangling. But now everything has been resolved, and I can breathe a sigh of relief. Let me tell you everything in detail, step by step, because it was a real epic with lessons for everyone who has problematic neighbors. If anyone missed the previous parts, in short, my neighbor Linda poisoned my organic garden with herbicides out of jealousy. Cameras caught her. I went to the police, filed a lawsuit, and now, the resolution. First, about the court. We had a hearing in small claims court in Chicago. It's a quick process without a jury, just a judge, plaintiff, and defendant. The date was set for the middle of the month, and I prepared as if for an exam. Lawyer Mike rehearsed answers with me. We gathered even more evidence. Updated garden photos, showing how the new plants are struggling with the residue of the poison. Some are still wilting because the soil isn't completely clean. Therapy bills. I spent $400 on sessions because this affected my mental health after the divorce. And even testimony from a third party. The neighbor across the street signed an affidavit confirming he heard Linda complaining about my garden and saw her accidentally throwing trash over the fence. Total damages we raised to $4,500. $2,500 for materials, $1,000 for labor, my time plus a hired gardener, $500 for analysis, and $500 for emotional distress, though in small claims this isn't always considered, but we tried. Linda appeared in court with a lawyer, some local guy, not very experienced. You could tell she didn't expect such a serious development. She looked older than she is, gray, haggard, in simple clothes, and avoided my gaze the whole time. The judge, a woman in her 60s, first heard my side. I showed the video on a laptop, with clear freeze frames showing her face in the Roundup jug from Home Depot, documents from the police, the report, and the fine she had already paid, $500, the lab results with graphs of glyphosate levels, which the judge called convincing, and the receipts. I spoke emotionally but calmly. Your Honor, these aren't just plants. This is my therapy after a difficult period in my life. She destroyed what I built for years out of envy, and I have the evidence. The lawyer added legal arguments. In Illinois, vandalism of property. Illinois compiled Statute 720 ILCS 5211 provides for compensation, and since damages exceed $500, it carries criminal liability, but we're focusing on the civil aspect. Then it was Linda's turn. She admitted everything, as she had to the police earlier, but tried to mitigate. "I didn't mean to cause harm," she said in a trembling voice. "I was just jealous. My husband died 5 years ago. I'm alone. My garden doesn't work out, and his is always praised. I bought the herbicide to test on my weeds, but at night I decided to level his plants. It was a mistake. I regret it." Her lawyer added, "My client is retired on a fixed income and is willing to pay partially, say, $1,000. The judge wasn't buying it. "Ma'am, envy does not justify a crime. The video is clear. The actions are intentional, and this was repeated. You violated private property and caused real damages." The verdict: Linda must pay $3,500 in compensation. The judge removed the emotional distress but accounted for everything else, plus $200 in court costs. The deadline is 30 days, otherwise it goes to collections. She nodded but looked shattered. I even felt pity, but then I quickly remembered the dead roses. After the court, Linda approached me in the hallway. The lawyers were nearby, so no drama. "Alex, I'm sorry. I'm moving to my daughter's in Indiana because I can't live next door after this." I replied neutrally, "I wish you the best, but next time talk to people, don't ruin their things." It turned out she had already listed her house for sale. A realtor's sign appeared a week later, and the neighbors are whispering that she wants to get rid of it quickly. It's a relief. A new neighbor, hopefully, will be normal. The police closed the case as the fine was paid and there were no further complaints. Now about the garden, it's almost restored. I spent the compensation. She paid by check after 2 weeks. The lawyer monitored it on new plants, hybrid roses that are pest-resistant, organic fertilizers, and even a small drip irrigation system for $600. The tomatoes are yielding a harvest. The lavender is blooming. The strawberries are sweet. I even shared some with the neighbors to celebrate. Emotionally, I'm okay. The therapist says this is an experience that made me stronger, and I started a blog about gardening, anonymously, of course. I added more security, smart cameras with AI that recognize faces, and a private property, cameras 24/7 sign. Lessons from this: document everything, don't ignore small signals like the missing tools, and go the legal route. Reddit was right. If anyone is in a similar situation, PM me, I'll share document templates. Thank you, everyone, you were my virtual neighborhood. TLDR, won the court case. Linda paid $3,500, is moving away, garden is restored, end of drama. If something new happens, e.g., a new neighbor, I might write, but I hope this is the finale. What are your thoughts on this story? Did the author do the right thing? What would you have done in his shoes? Share your opinion in the comments. And if you enjoy this video, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't want to miss new stories.